The CDC has officially announced vaccinations for kids. We'll have more in tonight's show.
Can Cal State universities successfully bring their COVID-era dropouts back? Find out more in our in-depth report.
The weather's about to get a bit cooler. I'll have more on that in weather.
And a new local music podcast debuted here at City College. I'll bring you more on that in entertainment. Newscene starts now. Good evening. I'm Jillian Fortner, and welcome to this week's edition of Newscene, a broadcast produced by the students of San Diego City College. Every Wednesday, we bring you the latest news of the week. The college requires everyone to wear a face mask indoors, and that includes all of our crew here in our studio. We have an exemption for those of us on camera. We continue to follow all necessary local, state, and federal guidelines to ensure a safe environment for those back on campus. But we remain as focused as ever on bringing you the latest. We start tonight's show with a big announcement. It's official. Vaccinations for kids ages 5 to 11 will begin November 8th. The decision was announced yesterday by the CDC. Children can receive vaccines at pediatric offices, pharmacies, and hospitals. Pfizer reported a 90% success rate in children compared to adult dosage. COVID-19 has since impacted more than 1 million children nationwide. And a new mandate requiring businesses to ensure workers are vaccinated or tested is expected to be finalized soon. The Biden administration is requiring all private-owned businesses with 100 or more employees to comply in order to reach the remaining 70 million Americans who are still unvaccinated. Businesses that don't comply could be fined. And a long list of ways to solve climate change are being discussed at the COP26 Climate Summit. The 2-week conference in Glasgow, Scotland, has brought the world leaders together to address the crisis. President Biden spoke on how methane use needs to be lowered in pursuit of cleaner fuels. He plans to do that through the Build Back Better program by investing towards the future.
When I think of climate crisis, I think of jobs. And that's what the Build Back Better framework will do for the American people. It's going to bring historic investment in clean energy, addressing the climate crisis. It's going to cut greenhouse gas emissions by well over a gigaton by 2030.
And college students were likely to drop out of their Cal State schools during the COVID pandemic. Next, we'll find out what Cal State universities have planned to bring them back in our in-depth report. Here's Estrella.
Thanks, Jillian. The COVID-19 pandemic has drastically changed the way students receive their education. And one of the casualties of this shift has been a decrease in graduation rates across Cal State universities. During the pandemic lockdown, many four-year students found themselves enrolling in community colleges. Many left their four-year universities while classes were virtual. But now that students are heading back to in-person learning, the 23 CSU campuses hope to bring their students back and increase their graduation rates. Cal State Chancellor Joseph Castro has named re-enrollment as one of his main priorities. This includes focusing on students of color and those of low income.
Consider this. Just 8 of our campuses account for 57% of the students of color who have left us since fall 2019. Let's reach out.
One of the reasons blamed for the drop was poor grades. A D or an F in 2 or more classes early on discouraged students from coming back. CSU is responding by increased tutoring, adjusting curriculum, and overall being more lenient on students, given their circumstances. The goal for Cal State campuses is to see their graduation rate improve to nearly 70%. The Cal State system has been increased its graduation rate over the last 6 years, but the COVID-era dropouts have sunk those gains. The hope is their flexibility and willingness to adapt to the learning experience for the students will make the difference. And Jillian, that will in turn help meet the needs of businesses throughout the state. Back to you.
Thanks, Estrella. Cal State universities are vital in educating the workforce of our state. Let's hope that they can bring their students back. And White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki has tested positive for COVID-19. In a statement posted on Twitter, Psaki said that she is vaccinated and previously tested negative up until last Sunday. She said she's taking care of her family who also tested positive for coronavirus. Psaki last saw President Biden in person just before he flew to Europe last week. And a proposed tax may affect every driver in San Diego in the near future. The tax would charge drivers about 6 cents for every mile they drive. SANDAG will soon make a decision on the proposal, which is designed to lower gas emissions and make public transportation more affordable. A vote on the tax will be held this December. If approved, it would take effect in 2030. And more news about international flights comes as domestic carriers continue to struggle with cancellations. Southwest Airlines experienced mass cancellations several weeks ago, and this week American Airlines says 1,500 flights are impacted. 6 of these cancellations occurred here in San Diego. American blamed weather and staffing issues. And a Canadian Airlines hopes to bring back tourism back to San Diego with a new flight route. It's called Swoop Airlines, and it's introducing nonstop flights from Edmonton to San Diego. Flights will only be available on Sundays for now, but the airlines has plans to expand the services in the future. Canada is San Diego's #1 international market. Coming up, we'll be finding out who is joining the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame later in entertainment. Plus, it's that time of year again to change those clocks. Joel Garcia will have more on that in weather. And don't go anywhere yet because we'll be right back after the break.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back to Newscene. After nearly 18 months, the international border will reopen for non-citizen travelers. The land ports of entry and ferry terminals will reopen on November 8th. Non-citizen travelers must provide proof of COVID-19 vaccination and be ready to attest their reason for travel. Homeland Security suggests travelers plan for longer waiting periods at the border. For the city of Atlanta, the wait for another sports championship is finally over. The Atlanta Braves have won the 2021 World Series. They beat the Houston Astros in Game 6, in Houston shutting them out 7-0 and taking the series 4 games to 2. This is the Braves' first World Series championship since 1995. And now, tonight with entertainment. It's an exciting time for the newest Hall of Famers. A few big-name celebrities are about to join the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Jay-Z, Foo Fighters, and Carole King are some of the performers inducted as the class of 2021. Special appearances by singers Taylor Swift and Paul McCartney round out the event's lineup. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame held in their ceremony in person this year after being forced to go virtual in 2020. Viewers can watch the recorded ceremony November 20th on HBO. And the Grammy Awards are working towards a more inclusive show for next year's ceremony. The Recording Academy released an 8-page agreement that requires producers to hire more diverse candidates. Their goal is to give more opportunities to people previously excluded in the industry. The annual award show will return January 31st. And the San Diego music scene is now different in this post-pandemic world. Through that, a new podcast has emerged right here at City College. San Diego Local Spotlight showcases local acts. The debut episode features Lost Shadows, a national city band. The musicians discuss ins and outs of the local music scene and their struggles trying to make music during lockdown and how they almost lost it all during the pandemic. You can listen to the episode on SoundCloud. Just search for City Times Media. And that's all we have for entertainment, so we're going to switch gears back to local news. It may be warm here in San Diego, but skiing and snowboarding is off to an early start in our nearby mountains. Plenty of snow coated the Sierra Nevada region, allowing for resorts to open their lifts weeks ahead of schedule. It's all thanks to a powerful atmospheric river. The storm that hit Northern California set rainfall records and even reduced extreme drought conditions in some areas. Well, with the mountains having perfect conditions for skiing, what about us here in San Diego? Joe?
Thanks, Jillian. Well, when it comes to our weather, you'll see outside that, well, it's fog. There's fog everywhere. No, it's not a scene from a horror movie. That's actually how it looks outside. Just without getting into further details, we're going to have patchy fogs in the mornings and evenings for the next few days. And when we take a look ahead, we'll see we'll have cool days, cooler nights. Oh yeah, and daylight savings. So that's going to be a thing for a while. Let's take a look at our current temperatures. And you can see, still sunny everywhere, but a bit of inconsistency. So when it comes to the coast, we have 66 degrees, but then the mountains are at 69. And aside from that, nice weather. We have the inlands at 72, and the deserts are hot at 86 degrees. That's the way it looks so far when it comes to our current temperatures. The sun is everywhere. Tonight's temperatures, of course, well, they're a contrast. Everything is cold. From 47 degrees in Mount Laguna all the way to the highs of 57 on the coast. And I do mean the entire coast, from Oceanside to Imperial Beach. It's just going to be cold everywhere, so wear a jacket or two. If you take a look at our 5 days forecast, you'll see that it'll be slightly declining. We'll have a decline in temperature. You'll see that we start at 73, but then we go down to 66 degrees all the way. But consistently, it'll be lows cold everywhere. Oh yeah, and you see the clock there on Saturday to Sunday? That clock is important because daylight savings ends on Saturday night at 2 a.m. So if you have an analog clock, you turn the clock an hour forward. If you have a digital clock or an Apple Watch, yeah, it's not a problem. So remember, daylight savings is this Saturday night at 2 a.m. So remember to turn your clock forward 1 hour, unless it's digital. That is all the time we have for weather. Back to you.
Thanks, Joel. Speaking for college students everywhere, we all really need that extra hour of sleep. We're all so tired. And finally tonight, the creators of the Oxford Dictionary have settled on the word of the year for 2021. Vaccinations have been a consistent theme this past year, so it is likely no surprise that the word vax has been named as word of the year. Oxford says the word hasn't seen much use until this year. The world has seen massively increased usage as a verb and adjective. And that's all we have for this week's News Scene. You can tune in for a new show every Wednesday evening on ITV or anytime you want on YouTube. You can also keep up with the latest news from the entire City Times media team on sdcitytimes.com/newscene. This is Jillian Fortner. Good night.